Let's go into a clarity rug pull. That could be happening right now as we speak. We wanted to get an expert on this topic in to help you guys understand what's happening. And let's just get right into it. I want to, of course, bring in Rebecca Rettig, who is coming in from Jito Labs. Rebecca, you've been on the show before. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here always.
All right. So a couple of things that have to be addressed. First of all, with that last little interview that you did in attempt to try to get some answers, my question is, did anything come of it? And especially around, I think we showed it a little bit. It was in reference to the lady that had the Eye of Sauron in the back when we were kind of talking about this. Did anything come from that?
No, I think what was interesting was that this has become politicized in many ways, and that there is information that's swirling around DC that may not be entirely accurate. So I think that's what was taken away from there more than anything else.
Do you feel like people around the idea of what's happening with Clarity really understand it, or you think it's only an inside DC situation?
So the bill itself is pretty complicated and hard to understand. It's hundreds of pages, and especially now where the Senate Ag side, which oversees the CFTC, and the Senate Banking side, which sees the SEC and Treasury, have to combine. This is a monster of a bill, right? Like very much a Dodd-Frank-like huge bill. So people are just taking certain things that are told to them at face value. And otherwise, people who've been working on this bill for months, years, whatever it may be, understand it very well. The agencies understand that. But I think if you're coming in from the outside and someone's just told you, oh, this bill does X, Y, and Z, people will just listen to it without necessarily getting into the text.
First of all, do you feel like this August 7th is just another false deadline? I mean, how many deadlines have we had so far on this in terms of clarity?
People who are in DC get a lot of in 2 weeks, it'll be on the floor. And that's been happening for a long time. So the in 2 weeks is definitely a long running joke for crypto policy people. I do think that end of July or very early August is a drop dead date. And I think the spiciest thing that I've been thinking, but not saying out loud, is it's a real mistake for the Dems not to think about passing this bill. Crypto's not going back in the bottle, right? Genie's out. It's here. And what we used to say, when people were raising concerns during the last administration, oh, well, crypto's not really intertwined with the traditional financial sector. But crypto's in its TradFi era right now, right? I think we're going to talk about some of the ways that banks and other financial institutions are really combining with blockchain and crypto rails. And so you should want to have a very robust, pretty restrictive, very unique crypto bill in place as we continue to move forward. So it's a big mistake not to pass this bill.
Well, and to your point, we're going to get into this today because there's some moves in MiCA within the EU. Obviously, there's also moves in traditional finance that they're just kind of, hey, we're going to go ahead and start our plans here and continue on down this track. But you look at a couple of key dates here. This is entering a pivotal stretch. I would agree right here. You've got the July 13th through 17th. This is the Senate procedural, final 4 votes. And then the 27th through August 7th, if approved, that would be kind of the lineup if this were to get done. If you were giving it a betting number right now, a polymarket number, where would you place it?
Maybe 35, 40%. I think if we get clarity, no pun intended, on ethics, and if look at I'm pretty close
You're
to
pretty
the
close.
I didn't even check. I think if we get a deal on ethics, everything else is going to work itself out. I think that's the thing people care about the most.
Yeah, I think the ethics issue is going to be the one that the Democrats hang their hat on pretty much. And of course, with all this stuff that's been in the news and headlines recently, not only about the administration, but also just Trump and his family has kind of put this into a position. This was an interesting headline. Mitch McConnell's absence is now putting the Trump's Pentagon budget boost in doubt. So my question, does McConnell now hold the keys to maybe getting this through? What do you think?
I don't think so for Mitch McConnell. But I think there are others, both on the Republican and the Democratic side, who we don't hear about as much because they haven't just been vocal or aren't on the committees of jurisdiction, who do hold keys. And there is a lot of work in DC to make sure people understand the bill and can get on board with it.
Who do you think is the most important senator right now that would be pivotal?
Making sure Senator Warner feels really good about the direction of the bill is very important from a Democrat side.
All right. So Senator Warner, there you go. That's a big one. Let's talk a little bit about the SEC safe harbor. What will this practically mean overall, and who would benefit from this? This was just a little bit of a breakdown. The proposal was early this month. This all changes maybe the whole idea around this. So how does this affect what's going on right now?
Yeah. So yesterday, the SEC put out its number of priorities for the rest of what it's going to work on for 2026. And there were three big categories that related to crypto assets. And one also about Rule 144, which is under which tokens were sold for a very long time. One of which one of the other priorities definitely looked like it was going to be the innovation exemption that we've been waiting for on tokenized securities. So I do think that it'll be very interesting to see what comes out from the SEC in the rest of the year. As I'm sure someone has told you on this show, they have been asked to hold back the innovation exemption until we know what's going to happen with clarity. Because they don't want anything coming out that deals with crypto that may change, that specifically deals with crypto, right? We can say, well, the Perps guidance from the CFTC and the prediction market guidance seems tangential on crypto, but obviously the innovation exemption is directly relevant to crypto. And so they haven't wanted anything to come out from the SEC that might tilt where people are on clarity yet.
Well, and this is going to have an effect, I think, on how projects, companies, all sorts of I think, innovators in the space, how they're going to play this whole concept between the concept around the equity debate. Because you've got some projects out there, clearly, if you think about Uniswap and others, that could play into this. And most likely, we're going to see other projects shifting into this as they start to build more. I want to play a clip for you because this was Dragonfly responding to an equity debate, which we think is in the midst of starting to happen right now. Take a look.
We led a $65 million investment into Venice in which we bought equity as well as exposure to VVV, which is Venice's primary token. Venice is nothing like Uniswap. Venice is not a protocol. Venice is not an on-chain product. VVV is not a governance token. It's not an ownership token. It has never been that. VVV is secretly equity, wink, wink. No, okay? No. So, okay, that might make sense. We wanted exposure to VVV. We are aligned with VVV holders, but it's not equity. It's never been equity. It's not a governance token. It is nothing of the sort, okay? If you think it is, it's because you did not actually read anything. It seems like a lot of people's discomfort with VVV is that they think every token should be a governance token or should basically be equity.
Yeah.
If you think this, then you basically object to actual capital innovation in tokens, which is kind of crazy to me. We believe, as Dragonfly, that VVV is valuable, which is why it owns almost half the VVV supply.
This is the definition of insanity. We have run this experiment not 10 times, not 100 times, hundreds of thousands of times. It is impossible to work. It doesn't work. We need to put the nail in the coffin. This thing is done.
Yes.
All right. So as you can see, and we've talked about this debate for some time, that was a bit of a tone-deaf response there, I think, in general. What's your take on this? I mean, you look at projects that are doing this. We're just kind of showing the Venice Layer 0 Uniswap, which is equity plus token. XRP equity, that's Ripple, of course, plus token, Chainlink token only. When you consider that and you look at other projects out there, even if you went to something like a Clanosaur project, what's your take on this? How do you see this playing out?
You know, I was a ancient lawyer who worked on launching tokens back in 2018, 2019. And some of the equity token split is because of decisions way back in the day, like Kik and Telegram, that said that SAFs were illegal sales of securities. And so you couldn't. So some of it was we sold equity along with a warrant because a warrant could be exercised at a later point in time, and that cut off some of the securities liability. So this is a relic like the Labs Foundation split that people have of some of the regulatory uncertainty that was going on, you know, back in the day. I actually do believe that you can have an equity token split that makes sense. I will say I love Haseeb. He looked like a hostage in that video. So, who knows what he was exactly trying to convey. I think that's something like a Venice might be able to have an equity token split that makes sense. But ultimately, I think community-wise, people just don't believe in that anymore. And so I think that projects are going to have to figure out if there's a real way to do this or not, or how to you've seen some people try to get rid of their equity. Uniswap has, you've seen some other projects sell equity to the foundations. I think we're still going to see innovation around that. And I agree to your point that once we see some information from the SEC around how to sell tokens, that may obviate the issue.
Do you think that's coming? Do you think the SEC is prepared to issue a guideline on this?
I do, especially if clarity doesn't pass.
Yeah, that's an interesting point too. We've talked to a couple of analysts. We had a guy from Standard Chartered, and he made that very point, is that if clarity does not go through, the SEC and the CFTC are going to be on pretty much a tirade trying to put together some sort of regulatory framework that would have to exist for the market to deal with all this coming through. How effective do you think that's going to be?
The SEC side will be very effective. The CFTC side will be harder because if tokens themselves, right, the underlying tokens are not securities, the CFTC does not have spot market authority at all. And that is why clarity is needed for jurisdiction for the CFTC over exchanges, over OTC desks, people who are actually dealing in tokens day to day.
Should Jito provide clarity now to token holders as well then? I mean, because that's the issue that we're dealing with. How do you guys do it?
We have provided clarity and we're providing more, but everything about the token is out there in the public, for one. And two, we're launching a new project very, very soon called JTX. And fees from that trading app are made clear that 80% are going to the token and another 20% is going to growth. And growth is pretty nebulous, but it is not like, growth that we're going to feed straight into the equity or anything like that. So Jito's been very, very transparent and really in front about being transparent about the token and all things about the foundation too.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about JTX in a second. I want to go to this right here, which is the EU. They are expanding the MiCA rules now to tokenization. Rebecca, come on. We're getting flanked here. What is this going to do to the U.S.? What do you think this is going to effectually have any effect on the lawmakers themselves? Do they even understand what's happening?
No. And MiCA has not changed the analysis in the US so significantly because MiCA is so stringent. It's been incredibly hard for projects or for actual, businesses, centralized actors to set up in Europe and comply. Yeah. There are people who are doing it, but I don't think MiCA is the thing that's going to tip the scale in the US to getting clarity over the line.
We saw Backpack obviously get approved. They're going to have ridiculously low fees. What do you make of that? In comparison, because do you think we could see other approvals like that for MiCA? Because I'm assuming everybody's going to be watching that and kind of flanking it.
The approvals that we're seeing now were initiated back when MiCA passed a year, 18 years ago, something like that. Maybe 2 years ago now. I'm losing track of time because, crypto years are like dog years. So these applications were actually initiated a long time ago. So you're just seeing old applications getting approved. I don't think maybe if clarity doesn't pass, people will flank to Europe, but I don't think so.
Do you think Jito will benefit from this Backpack license?
In some ways, but not public yet.
Okay. All right. There's something there. We just uncovered something. All right. You guys heard it here first. I don't know what we heard, but we'll see. Something's coming out of you guys. So let's talk about the JTX launch, which of course is a big deal. You guys have some pretty amazing things going on, but will this also have SEC and CFTC approval, do you think?
So it's a non-custodial front end. And the great part about this is that the SEC has put out guidance to say non-custodial front ends, even if you're trading tokenized equities through them, are not brokers and you don't have to register. And we have at least seen the no action letter for Phantom saying that where there's something non-custodial that is plugging into a custodial product, that's not what JTX is doing. You don't need to register as a broker. So because it's non-custodial in a front end, we don't feel that we need to go to the SEC and the CFTC in terms of launching very, very soon, as you saw.
You've got a new potential SEC nominee coming in from Schumer. What do you think about that? Would a new SEC nominee be good, or would it be a next Gensler, do you think?
So Schumer's preferred SEC nominee is for commissioner. And Goldsmith Romero was also a commissioner at the CFTC in the past. She was also at the FDIC.
Yeah.
And I think having full commissions built out at the SEC and the CFTC is a very good thing. It causes intellectual dialogue and disagreement and really pushes transparency out in terms of what's happening at the agency. So I think it'll be very good. Even if you disagree philosophically with Christy Goldsmith Romero, you cannot say she is unqualified. She has worked in DC for a very long time. She knows how the system works. Better Markets, long time, actually supported Christy Goldsmith Romero and thought she was great. And they now don't like one vote she made last administration relating to Kalshi.
Yeah. So she'd be replacing who? Crenshaw?
I mean, a Democratic seat is who she'd be replacing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you've got all of that going on. And of course, we've got issues happening on the institutional side. One of the things that, of course, we want to kind of draw attention to, and that is Securitize, publicly traded company. We saw this, didn't do great on its opener out there in terms of going public. First of all, what did you think about that in terms of how the market responded to it and what they were trying to do in terms of conveying what Securitize truly is doing?
Great question. When we saw Circle premiere for its IPO, people were really going crazy because I think people at the time on Wall Street understood stablecoins. I think people still don't totally understand tokenization yet and how it is going to change things. But the real way to understand tokenization is it is the corollary to stablecoins, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have digitized money. You need to have everything else be digitized in the same way.
Right. And I think you look at the complexity. When we were analyzing this is the process that you have to kind of jump into, which is you got to log in, sign up, just to be able to go in and trade on this versus what should be, I would think, just a plug into a wallet. But that, of course, changes things up. The complexity of how tokenized stocks are going to work, especially with now publicly traded companies like Securitize, do you think they just lose the race here with projects like what you guys are going to bring to market, what we've already got out there on the market in DeFi? What do you think?
Securitize has been around for a very long time, and they have great partnerships and have been working on this concept for a long time. But I think what happens with tokenization remains to be seen. You saw Citi come out with their own idea about tokenization, but I still think there's a lot of uncertainty about the usefulness of it because the securities markets are actually pretty efficient.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the issue. You have to kind of consider some other potentials out there that would play into this on the institutional side. You've got JP Morgan, curated stablecoin vaults, but not paying anything. I don't know how that works, but I guess it works with JP Morgan on a 0% APY. I don't know. This just seems like it's kind of Johnny come lately. There's already all these products and services out there, especially in the vault product, that's doing so much better in this. How do they compete?
I mean, JP Morgan has loved an experiment since 2020, where they did experiments on Uniswap and with the Singapore Monetary Authority and things like that. So this seems like another JP Morgan experiment. And I think they've had some schizophrenia on Jamie Dimon hating it. And there are people working on this, loving it. So this is another JP Morgan experiment, and let's just see what happens.
We'll see what happens. I think this will be a bad one. You had some news come out of Judge Torres. Remember Judge Torres from the Ripple case. And this is in reference to Kalshi, which is denied pretty much this preliminary injunction that essentially would make prediction markets somewhat illegal. What do you think is going on here?
This is just an extension of the confusion around the country for who actually has jurisdiction over prediction markets, specifically when it comes to sports. We've seen the Third Circuit, so New Jersey, right next to New York, say the opposite, that the CEA does preempt state gambling laws, and you've seen the Ninth Circuit come out the way that Judge Torres did. So this is just unquestionably going to the Supreme Court, and it's just a matter of when.
Okay. Okay, so this is going in. So, I mean, Selig's been very vocal on this. He believes all this falls into the CFTC's bailiwick. So, right now, with what you're seeing in terms of the state fight back, what you're seeing coming out of the CFTC, where do you think this lands? You're an attorney. How do you think this ends up?
I do actually think that this Supreme Court will say that the CFTC has full jurisdiction over prediction markets, which they do under the Commodity Exchange Act. I think they might put some contours or circumscription around the sports contracts and some of that. But ultimately, I think this Supreme Court rules in favor of the CFTC.
Even with that, you still have companies like Google, which this just came out, they're banning prediction market extensions. Doesn't that kind of give a bad narrative overall for the market? Or do you think this is preempting something because they think maybe it's going to go the other way?
I can't tell what this Google ban is actually about. Quite frankly, I think they're probably protecting themselves. And I think some of this may actually have to do more about data collection and those types of things rather than getting deep into the weeds on state versus federal.
Okay. All right. Rebecca, I have a clip here. This is going at, well, it talks a little bit about Solana and did they just kill kind of this high idea of casino monopoly? Let me play this for you. I want to get your attention or your response to it.
Back on April 15th, 2011, poker players called it Black Friday. The US government shut down the biggest online poker sites overnight, and player balances, they were frozen instantly. The largest site, Full Tilt Books, the site owed players $390 million. And guess what? They only had $60 million in the bank. So poker players learned the FTX lesson a decade before FTX existed. Chokepoint and Chokepoint 2.0, they weren't invented for crypto. That playbook was run on poker first. They couldn't ban the actual game. So what they did is they went after the payment rails first. I lived through this. Bitcoin quickly became the easiest way to on and off ramp through all of the popular gray area sites. We actually needed permissionless money in order to do our jobs. Now, here are the actual mechanics. Buy-ins in Sol are live today in Vegas. You pay the exact dollar value of the buy-in with 0 processing fees. The bigger piece comes in December. Winners can take their prize settlements in stablecoins on Solana, near instant, and accidentally created crypto's first real user base. The poker guys were right and early, but now it's official.
So what do you think? Did Solana just kill the casino monopoly?
I don't think so. I think there's going to be a long history around what we're going to see in the past and what we're going to see in the future around gambling. Okay. But the gambling laws are very, very strict. So there's not a real way around them, honestly.
Yeah. However, smart traders, just like smart gamblers, figure out interesting ways to do things. So think about that, guys. Let's go to our lightning round with you, Rebecca. We always have fun with these. First question is the Iran war escalation. This, of course, has paused everything, minus the military spending. Do you think so or no?
Last I heard earlier today, no. But everything in DC is very day by day, hour to hour.
I don't think it pauses. I think actually there may be a little bit of. I'm kind of in your boat. It's not top of mind, or at least it doesn't feel like it. I'm not hearing everyone yelling about it as much anymore. So that's kind of intriguing overall. ABA's lobby has successfully defeated the crypto lobby, but not the crypto lawyers.
Disagree.
All right. After it fails, which is what we think is where we're set up for this right now, Clarity will be renamed to the Bank Act. To refresh finance. What do you think? We just have a good name for it. We thought it was a good name. What do you think?
Good. I mean, good A+ for effort, but no.
But no. Okay. Robinhood Chain is causing every company out there to launch products and ask for forgiveness later.
I mean, I don't think it's Robinhood Chain that's causing it, but yes, everybody is continuing to launch products in ways where they may not, or they may need to ask for forgiveness later, or they don't have clarity right now.
Yeah. Biggest banks, or the bank's biggest mistake was forgetting that Robinhood doesn't care.
That's right. Agree.
Yeah, I agree. I'm in a I'm still amazed that the banks have not figured out Robinhood yet. Why do you think that is? I mean, this is their second major move, third major move of outflanking banks on strategy. Why are they not paying attention to these guys?
I mean, they've had a monopoly for a long time. It's like the CME getting upset and suing the CFTC over perps. They were used to their cushy monopoly.
Yeah, good point. Plot twist.
No, just no. He's not.
Mitch McConnell is alive. I'm going to pass on that one. These guys are going crazy today with our lightning rounds. Will lawyers continue to advocate to clients for a dual token equity system?
For sure.
Yes. All right. Betting and prediction markets will be in legal hell for years to come, regardless if clarity goes through. Rebecca, those are great ones. We will definitely have you back on to talk about where this market is heading and whether or not we get clarity, hopefully in the next few weeks. So thanks for coming in today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
If you like this video, hit like and subscribe, drop a comment down below, and also join our free private member group. The link is in the description.